Welcome in, everybody, to Episode 6 of Stark Media High School Football Weekly. I'm TJ Downing, joined by Jim Bostic, Jeff Tyler, and Rod Strata. And we're here at 3300 South Arlington Road at the location for Toth, Buick, GMC. And we want to give a special shout-out to them as they're hosting us here today. Make sure to call them at 330-644-3400 or check them out online at www.tothakron.com. All right, as we break right into it, guys, we got a lot of football to cover. We're already coming up on Week 8. And, boy, was this an interesting one to start off with here, Jim Bostic, as we start with St. John's, the Cadets visiting Massillon, which you had alongside Dave Bircher over there at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium. Maybe a first, I'm sure, for you. Some of us have seen this before. It's a rarity, but this game stopped early. 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Officials got together. They called it. It ended up being a 28-7 victory for the Massillon Tigers. But kind of explain the action and how that all went down there at the end.
Well, I'll tell you what you went back to, right, not seeing right. I obviously did not. And I asked Dave, right, Dave Bircher, my partner, who's coached over at Hoover for 25 years. I said, Dave, have you ever seen this? He goes, I heard about it once, but I've never witnessed it in all my years. So, you know, you talk about what happened. I'll tell you what, I've got the stats here at the end of the game. I'm going to give you guys one stat. 23 total penalties, 229 total yards in penalties. Wow. It looked like a canary shoot out there. Yeah. I mean, flags were flying everywhere. But, you know, to start the game, you know, the opening drive, I mean, St. John strikes with a long 68-yard touchdown pass. Isaiah French hits Reese Williams. And I'm looking at Dave going, all right, brother, we got us a game. And that was pretty much it. I mean, Massillon turned the switch, and from then on, I mean, it was all Tiger football. What happened, going back to your original question at the end, I think it was just a level of frustration, guys. 28-7, St. John's a good team, ranked number 4 in Maryland, just had to come off a great victory over Mission Viejo. Thought, you know, hey, we're going to come in here and take care of business. But, Rod, you said it, you know, in our show last week. They don't know what they're coming into. Right. No, and they absolutely did not. So the third period, right, Massillon's already up. Third quarter, St. John's kicks off. Massillon holds the ball for 7 minutes of the third quarter.
That's a backbreaker.
You know, and, you know, so we go into quarter 4. Of course, there's flags just flying left and right. And what set up what happened at the end, you know, St. John's getting ready to punt, and ball comes back. Massillon guy comes through, and the punter goes to the ground. And in truth, and then I told you this, Tej, you know, I kind of like, oh, the punter trying to do a little theatrics here. It didn't look horrible, right? Flag goes, okay, whatever. But the bench is, again, almost clear. Wow. This now is for the third time because there was an incident early in the first half that happened. Massillon gets the ball. St. John holds, but here came the big one at the end. St. John's driving. Quarterback Isaiah French didn't run the ball very much. He's a slider, and you guys playing football know this better than most. He goes out to run. He hits about the 30-yard line, decides to slide late. And by that time, the defensive back was kind of already on him. He couldn't really pull himself up. French goes down. Our defensive back gets him at the head with the shoulder. Not malicious. It happened, right? I mean, and, boy, the benches came again, right? So things get sorted out. The officials come to the middle with the two head coaches, Coach Ward, you know, from over at St. John's, and Coach Moore. They bring them together. 6 minutes, 45 seconds. Game is over. Wow. And, you know, but again, guys, Massillon, it's just, you know, I told my brother, I said, I haven't been to a high school football playoff game when the two Titans meet, whether it be at the semifinals or in the finals. I want to be first in line to get my ticket to watch Massillon and Hoban because I'm telling you guys, Massillon is amazing.
I think a lot of people would venture to say that Massillon is probably a 3 to 4 touchdown favorite against anybody they're going to play until, well, let's call it week 14 when they would see Hoban. Now, again, you still have week 10. You know, we know all about rivalry games. You know, Rod, you can throw that out the door. You got to still deal with an opponent that, you know, you have history with, and we're talking about probably the greatest history in North America when it comes to high school football in week 10 when McKinley will host Massillon. But, you know, another thing for you here, Rod, is Jim's talking about the quarterback being a slider, Mr. French. Let me tell you who is not a slider. How about DeJuan Owens going vertical? It ended up being a penalty because of the rule where the defender has to have his feet or knee on the ground before you can do that, and he would go Superman style over top of him. But, you know, Rod,
it looked like he was going over a short hurdle. It was amazing.
You know,
amazing. I saw the video of that.
You've been around guys that have been featured around some controversy. You know, that we weren't sure if this guy was going to play. He finally gets cleared. And you don't really know how a guy's going to respond to that until you get him out there on the field. You know, you deal with all week long. All you want to do is just think about football, but you're thinking about, am I even going to be eligible for this game?
And is my team going to have to forfeit games because of
it?
Right? So, and here's the other part. When you said, hey, we know about sliders, I didn't know anything about sliders because I played. You did not slide.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've watched
you lowered your shoulder.
Yeah. You lowered your shoulder. I mean, you could have slid, but there wasn't much sliding going on.
Yeah. That was one of those.
Was that kind of badge of honor thing, Ron, back in the day? Sorry, Jeff.
No, I was going to say it was one of the smoothest jumps I've seen.
It was just, I mean, it just didn't happen. But hurdling opponents is amazing, right? These guys are so athletic that can do that. You see it in the NFL. You see it in NCAA. And now in high school with tremendous
Like
athletes.
you said, though, it wasn't like in the NFL where the guys like leap with one knee in the air. He had legs like this. I mean, it was one of the prettiest jumps.
I think what my biggest issue with this whole thing, Jeff, is that why is that a penalty? You know, the guy's going down. He's going to go low on you. You should be able to jump over top of him. But the rule being that hand, knee has to be on the ground, it's just –
I don't understand that either.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, I remember seeing Josh Petroselli at Mount Union do it, and he's on ESPN Top 10 Plays that night. You know, you can do it in college and NFL, but in high school for some reason you're not allowed to because of safety of players. Nothing safe about it. That guy's going down for a lower extremity.
Right.
I'm taking the high road and going over top of him.
Right. Well, there's a similar rule in baseball, too. When you're coming into home plate, you can't jump over the catcher.
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't understand the reasoning behind it, but it is what it is.
No, I think it's what both you guys said. It's safety. I mean, at least that's the interpretation.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's again. I'm not going to criticize the rules, but at the end of the day, this is still a violent game, and if you have the opportunity to jump over someone to avoid a hit, it's no different than avoiding a hit if you cut left or cut right. You're just trying to avoid the contact.
So you're saying if the defender's knees down, you can.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Because I saw an amazing play last year with Solberger at Lake do the same thing.
Yeah.
Bounce it out, took off similar after a 40-yard run, and it wasn't called. But I think in that case that the defender was down on the ground already. I
think as we get ready to move on to our next game, you can kind of finish up with this, Rod, exactly what you said. There are way more violent things that will happen between 4 quarters of a football game than a quarterback hurdling a guy who's already going low for him, and he's got his head ducked. And, hey, that's one of the things they don't teach you from day one, right? Keep your head up. Don't drop your head. You know, very, very more high impactful situations throughout a football game that could hurt a player than something like that. But, you know, Jim, it's you got to see it. So,
well, and I'll tell you what, there's one package, guys, and only because in many of our episodes you've talked about Mike Wright, right?
Yeah.
It's probably not the correct term. I called it the power package. I was telling Dave, think of this. They're in that goal line area. They're inside the HH truck. Yeah, HH truck parts red zone. It was Owens under center, and on either side was Pringle and Wright. And I'm thinking, oh, my gosh. But it was pretty cool. So
don't want to be an ankle biter coming up against those two.
Step in
I know
front
about
of that.
biting ankles, but no.
Step in front of that Denali.
You probably wish he was going to jump over.
Jeff, again, you were out last week. Congratulations on your daughter getting married, your new addition to the family. It seems to be a common theme here at Stark Media because this week I'll be rolling alongside Bobby Cummings Jr. as my partner Mark Milano will welcome a new addition to his family. His son will be getting married. His daughter will actually be presiding over the ceremony. So pretty cool little deal. Shout out to you, Mark Milano, and your family.
Congratulations,
Mark. Very happy for you guys. But I'll tell you who wasn't happy walking away from Bob Cummings Field, Bobby Jr.'s father, were the Jackson Polar Bears. I don't think a whole lot of people expected Glen Oak to get that victory, but on homecoming night, how about Omar Ford out there, your guy making some plays?
Yeah.
I mean, the entire vibe and energy throughout Bob Cummings Field and over there at that stadium had to have been electric because Glen Oak kind of had their backs to the wall there after dropping a contest a week before that they thought they'd be able to get. And look at this. Now all of a sudden the Glen Oak Golden Eagles have put themselves back in the thick of things.
Well, yeah, right. You're right on, TJ. Well, first of all, the opening kickoff, Jackson won the toss. They deferred. So they kick off to Glen Oak, and what do you know? A 90-yard touchdown return by Jalen McElroy. Right?
Nice.
As I said on the air, he went coast to coast like butter and toast. And
I've noticed that Rod really has a lot of poetic internals with him. Great job.
Jeff, just so you know, since you are back this week, he has trademarked that. So if you drop it, you're going to owe him money.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's copyrighted. Wow. Yeah. No, I tell you what, I miss Jeff, and this was my first time going solo, and
You did it admirably, partner.
Well, I did it my best. But anyway, it was a great game to call, and it was a great game to be at. Adrian Burt was in the game, right? He rushed for almost 200 yards.
Now, they put him at QB, right?
Yeah.
He took over for Cole, quarterback.
He took over QB. Omar Ford recovered a fumble, as you mentioned. Omar,
big fella.
He's only 5'10", number 99 at 395 pounds. Wow. I'll quote him here. He was talking about Adrian Burton, and he said, he's a wild card, Ford said. He's hard to plan for. He can run or throw. I love him like a brother. So, anyway, the Glen Oak, basically, I think they controlled most of the game. And I think I might have been the only one last week that picked them. No disrespect to the Polar Bears.
Wait, I didn't pick my alma mater?
I don't think you did.
Oh, wow.
No, I knew this was
crap. Edit. I got to go back and edit that.
So you better do that. But no, it was a really good game. Jackson, they moved the ball a little bit, but all in all, Glen Oak kind of took care of business, right? They, again with Adrian Burt and
were they? You and I the week before with Jackson called them against Lake. Did Glen Oak take a page out of their book and send everybody to the house? Or?
They blitzed a little bit. They did. They blitzed, but they held Ackerman to 50. Let's see, he ran for 57 yards on 23 rushing attempts.
Wow!
So he ran the ball a lot, right? And then Jackson their defense played okay, but when Glen Oak had the ball, they moved it up and down the field. And I tell you what, the real change I saw in Glen Oak had the ball. They had the ball last. In other words, they had their own fate in their hands. Maybe close to 4 minutes, 3-something in the game, and all they had to do is keep getting first downs. And guess what? They kept getting first downs. They kept the ball
moving
in
the
their hands,
chains,
and then they moved the chains all the way down to the end. And the quarterback took a kneel, and it was ball game.
Wow.
So I mean, the Jackson D, played well. They do, but I just think Glen Oak had their back against the wall, and it's unfortunate for Coach Rohr and the Jackson Ball Club because they have a good team, and I just think that I still go back to this. I think that the late game took something out of them.
Yeah,
it really did, and like I said. It wasn't the same team that you and I saw against
Menor and Mayfield.
Especially Mayfield.
Yeah,
right.
They looked amazing those 2 weeks.
And no disrespect to the ball club because I think that was my third time covering Jackson, second time for Glen Oak, but Glen Oak they basically. It was their night.
Tale of two halves of a season, right? Early in the season, Jackson caught those guys off guard a little bit. Now the Golden Eagles have figured out a couple things, and they're starting to catch some people off guard. They're going to need help from Jackson this weekend. If they want to stay in this thing for the Federal League to get a piece of it, they are going to still face McKinley, but they need Jackson to take down the McKinley Bulldogs. Not going to be an easy job.
Rod, just curious, was brother Avante Burt back? Or
he was playing a little bit as well.
Okay, good.
So, I thought he was going to be out, but he wasn't. And,
good to hear.
Glen Oak played very physical. They stepped up. The game we watched, the game we called, Jeff, the Fitch game. Glen Oak made a lot of mistakes, and they were jumping around. Fitch just moved the ball at will. In this game, though, Glen Oak stood up pretty well. Of course, again, Jackson's offensive line, in my humble opinion, is not quite the best one in the Federal League. And Glen Oak they just took it all.
We mentioned when we were calling that game that it looked like they were trying to run Burt off tackle a lot, which I don't think is his skill set.
No.
They've done a nice job of switching to Jamar Johnson, who's now leading the county in rushing, and he runs hard up the middle. Doesn't change directions, goes hard, and then that to me opens up the jet sweeps with Burt.
He's not ripping off 100-yard games. He's ripping off 200-yard games.
Yeah, and lastly, and I'll close with this. Lastly. It's almost like when Adrian Burt or Johnson ran, they had the opportunity to bring them down, but they didn't. So I think there were a lot of, you could say, on one side missed tackles, but on the other side you could say athleticism for the guys running the ball because they just got around Jackson, and there were really no big hits from Jackson on Glen Oak that night. So.
Well, I think if you really want to sum it all up, Rod, as you mentioned there, when they just had to keep getting a couple first downs to close out that ball game, you really got to give the high salute to Romeo Magiel, Tommy Dick, Aiden Lennon, Ashton Rulewitz, and Tony French. The boys up front getting it done.
Absolutely.
That's where the offensive line is able to win the game, and we're here at Toth Buick GMC. They're winning in the game. We're going to talk more about them. We're going to get a chance to hear from fourth generation Toth, Josh Toth. For me, when we stick with the offensive line theme, had a chance to go over there and call the action between the McKinley Bulldogs and the Lake Blue Streaks, and it was fun. We had a chance. We were in a little bit of a private meeting here, so we'll keep that separate. But we got a chance to talk to linebackers coach J.R. Supez, and he mentioned this offensive line for McKinley. They're big, they're physical, and I'm wondering how they are going to affect our linebackers, and they affected them greatly in the first half of that ball game. It was 23-7 at the half. I know he made mention, which I talked about on the broadcast, right guard Antonio Krieger reminded him of Conrad Dobler, and, just the physical attitude and the presence that they bring. Dior Gardner, who is a Division I recruit, mainly for offensive line or for defensive line, playing offensive line. He's now kind of supplanted himself as one of the best linemen in the county.
Wow!
And had a phenomenal ball game. Was our Hilsher Clark Electric Player of the game
on the offensive side
for being a two-way star. He was living in the backfield defensively, getting it done. And for me, just seeing how McKinley was able to figure some things out down the stretch, understanding that Lake's getting back into the ball game. They found a way to finish late, and Stephon Thomas, between him and also Nino Hill, they ran the ball very effectively behind that offensive line. And Keaton Rohde played himself a pretty good ball game too. Minus a fumble that he had, he was able to go 13 of 16 and have a QBR rating of 113 overall. So, the kid's starting to play pretty good, and it's coming together.
Yeah, so in my opinion, Rohde's not the flashiest quarterback, but he seems to be consistent.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you just don't – he's one of those guys that by the time the game's over, he's got excellent stats, but it wasn't – he's thrown some great balls, he has some big plays, but he just stays consistent.
Yeah.
Well, think about this. McKinley now 6-1, and they haven't put two halves together yet.
Yeah.
They all season they came out really soft in the first half, and then get it together second half. I think in this game, from what I read,
flip-flop.
It was flip-flop,
Yep.
right? They came out like world beaters, and then second half got pretty sloppy.
That can end up burning you down the stretch, especially in Week 10 when you're going to have to take on the Massillon Tigers.
That can burn you. My point is, though, if they can start putting two halves together, they're going to be pretty tough.
When you look at what happened over there at Hoover, Perry and Hoover, they go to extra innings, and really Mason Ashby puts on the afterburners after Perry was able to kick a field goal, go up 34-31, and from 20 yards out, Mason Ashby hits the juice. And it was a walk-off deal, and that's a pretty cool feeling for those guys. I know in front of their home crowd, but I know for the Perry Panthers, really the struggle has been real for those guys. Finding a way to win a football game, it hasn't happened, and really Hoover again after with the way they lost to McKinley. For them to be able to bounce back and get that victory was huge for Brian Baum, and again a shout out to him for your 50th victory. In your career.
How about Christian Ivonic, Perry's running back? We talked about early in the season, Ryder Hartshorn, right? And again, just a phenomenal specimen. Rod pointed that out.
Nice young man.
Yeah,
too.
just a super dude. Christian, second 200-yard game back to back. I mean, again. Boy, Perry's, they're trying, they're working, but boy, two just outstanding efforts by that young man. That two-game stretch, the guy's averaging 12.8 yards per carry.
Wow,
I mean, it's insane. But but again, they just couldn't seal the deal. And again, Hoover just has great weapons. I want to tell you what. Lake's got to get, and we're going to talk about it in later segments, but Lake's got to, be prepared. What's coming.
Yep, Hoover's going to be showing up, knocking on the door,
Rocker
guys.
had a big game, right?
Yep.
135 receiving, and
Derlin
had 252 passing.
Unfortunately, I didn't go back and look at the box score and stats in that game, but I do know this. Perry's always going to try to have a really good game. They try to be consistent. But if you get behind a little bit or down the crunch, if you don't have – they have a passing game, but if you don't have a consistent passing game where – routes are run correctly, and quarterback knows where to go.
He's got a rhythm.
Yeah, there's no rhythm.
Right.
Right.
You haven't thrown a ball. If you haven't thrown a ball in 10, 15 minutes,
whatever. And I'm not saying they didn't. All I'm trying to project is that when you get in close situations in a must-win game, down to the last where it goes, especially when it goes into overtime, you have to have more weapons than the run.
Well, you had guys talked about early on with Perry, and you guys saw them, the game against McKinley, and a lot of run. You talked about Maddox maybe not throwing. I saw them against Jackson, had that game. Austin's got an arm. He can throw the ball. My thought would be give him a chance, like you're saying, Rod, maybe open up the passing a little more because you're going to need it, as you're saying. And he's not a bad passer when you give him that opportunity.
No, I've seen him work out in the summer times. He can throw the ball, and they have thrown it more this year than they ever have. They usually do it 2 times a night. Now they're doing 7 to 10.
Well,
they're thinking out of the box. But
well, you have to, you can't be predictable. That's the key, right? If you're a team playing an organization or a high school team that does certain things all the time, it's like somebody coming to work same time every day, right? They're very predictable.
Yeah.
And when you get in tight quarters and close games, that's when you got to have something in your bag that's not predictable.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, Miraglia, again, it was nice to see 22 carries for that young man, 126 yards and a touchdown. So, again, week 8's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's coming up, man. We're going to talk more about that here. High school sports at Stark Media, brought to you in part by Hilscher Clark Electric Company, the Eagles FOE 190, H&H Truck Parts, and Cackley Insurance. All right, guys, how about how important a guy is to his team? And another high salute to Poochie Schneider, the all-time passing yard king in Stark County, getting it done. But it happens after injury in he wouldn't play the second half of that football game on a run play. He would dislocate his finger badly. It actually came out of the skin, lacerated. He's going to actually, I believe, played a round of golf earlier this week. So, he's a tough kid. He's going to get back into the deal.
Wait a minute, he's playing golf this week for real?
Oh yeah, he's a tough kid, man. Yeah, he's strapped up. He's like, I'll go out and get around in at Wilkshire. I'm good to go. But Poochie Schneider, man, salute to you. But when he went out of the game, Triway got back into the game. Yeah. So it shows you how valuable Poochie is to that team.
Well, when you got a D1 quarterback that can sling it like he can, it's hard to. It's easy to get used to that.
I guess I have a question. Again, is he going to be able to throw the ball?
You know what? If he's swinging a golf club, I'll tell you what. It is on his throwing hand. I think he's going to be all right. He seems to be of the mentality that, tape it up. It's on the pinky finger, get these two put together. I watch some of his balls that he throws now. He doesn't grip it by the laces. He's just kind of one of those gunslingers, so to say, man. Like, he's just a great athlete. He's one of those guys you drop him off anywhere, and he'll be the best tennis player out there. He'll be the best golfer out there. He'll be the best baseball player out there.
Bro, you said it was a compound fracture. Bone came out. Through the skin.
It dislocated and it came out of the skin a little bit, so it lacerated. So there were some stitches on there, and but the young dude, number 19, is just going to rock and roll and go through it.
He's got that Mamba mentality, right?
Yeah,
watch Kobe shoot for a year without a finger on the ball.
And again, not to, I remember my dad playing with Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott just said, "Hey, rip that thing off. I don't even need it anyways."
Cut it off.
But it does really put a lot of pressure again on the offensive line, though, to keep him upright and keep guys off of him. Guys like Joe Meyer, D'Angelo Spear, Aiden Gear, Max Cochran, Jason Clark. That's the big job on those guys now is, when he does take off and run, when there is some pressure coming off the edge or some type of blitz, you've got to keep number 19 upright to be able to avoid taking any shots on that throwing hand.
Well, and look, we're going into week 8 right now, and they're ranked 3rd in Division 4.
Yeah.
They got a legitimate shot of posting their first state title.
With Poochie Schneider.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, and again, you mentioned it. How about, Triway, right? Braden Holt bringing that team back like he did, tying it up, a great job. That last pass going to Brody Snyder to tie the game. And then, a freshman quarterback, Brody Beagle, coming in and turning that win for the Wildcats.
Yeah.
That young man, what a memory for him to remember, yeah?
Well, it's going to be more important now, TJ, from the offensive lineman perspective. The onus is on them because, granted, Poochie's going to come back. He's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I have no question about that. However, he may be a little slower coming back. In other words, he may not throw the rock as many times as he has in the past. So that O-line is going to have to step up and really block well and also be able to move the ball down the field from a rushing perspective, right? Because they need to stay in these games, as you mentioned, right? Poochie goes out,
what are you going to do?
Score goes up.
Here's a question for you two guys, right? So I haven't looked at what remaining 3 games that Canton South is looking at. Is it something, do you give Pucci a week or 2 off, use Beagle? I mean, the young man, if 4 for 6, 83 yards, had a touchdown, do you let Pucci's finger heal a little bit, knowing what's coming in the playoffs? I mean,
they're going to have Fairless this week, and Fairless just got beat up pretty good by CVCA, 23-0. So, and Jeff, enough with Fairless that they're a little bit banged up as well. So
they could
maybe
probably,
that is an opportunity.
No, I agree with you. I mean, obviously we're not there, and we don't know all the details of where he's at in that recovery. Me playing with him on the field, I would say if you're playing golf this week, you're on the field Friday.
Yeah, you are.
But
you're brutal, Mr. Tyler.
Hey, I mean, there's some common sense involved there.
Not as violent of a sport.
Jeff's a good golfer.
Oh, but I mean, you
he's
take
right.
your fingers out of it
Right.
in golf. I mean,
Right.
that's huge.
And it's going to be situational, right?
Yeah.
So they come out. Let's just say they come out and he's fine. But let's just say they come out. Yeah, he's just starting to get back in the groove. They'll adjust. Canton South can adjust their offensive strategy, whether they run the ball a little more, run the option a little more, or throw the ball.
Look, I think they got a real opportunity here. Whenever I coached baseball and I had guys that I thought I may need down the stretch to give me an inning or give me an out,
Right.
I would put them in key games, in key situations to get him that experience. So whenever it comes playoff time, you never know. He might go down for a few plays. You might need that young man to step in there.
Get the legal Beagle.
I think it would be a good opportunity to get him in there, get the kid to start.
Yeah.
They're going to hit playoffs regardless.
Right.
Hey, as a freshman, the Beagle's not even legal yet.
Exactly.
He wouldn't even be able to come up here and
trademark that.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to come up here and test drive a car at 3300 South Arlington Road. So, but
the Beagle's not legal.
You get a little bit of experience under him, and then see how it shapes out. So,
Hey guys, ESPN has nothing on us.
I was going to say, Jeff and I got to step up our game.
Step your game up, guys. We'll see how it works out next segment. We'll take a break here at Toth Buick GMC, and we'll be back with more after this. Power outages can happen at any time without warning and can leave your home powerless for days. Hilscher Clark has partnered with Generac to bring you the #1 selling home standby generator brand, engineered and built in the USA since 1959. With a home standby generator, your home will never lose power again. Generac generators activate automatically in the event of any power loss and restore power to your home within seconds. Don't leave your home unprotected. Trust only the best. Hilscher Clark's residential division are experts in their profession and go above and beyond to provide you with quality, efficient service at a fair price. Starting with the estimate, they keep you informed regarding status and completion of your projects. They also give you shorter arrival windows and send you email and text confirmations of your scheduled service appointment, as well as notifications when their electricians are on their way to your home. Hilscher Clark's Google reviews speak for themselves, with more than 270 reviews and 4.9 stars. And if you've just recently purchased an electric vehicle, but don't want to rely on public chargers to keep your battery full, Hilscher Clark has all the juice you can handle for your home vehicle charging needs. Hilscher Clark is a certified Q Merit Solutions partner, making them market leaders in electrification and recommended by local dealerships. Visit them online at www.hilscher-clark.com. That's HILSCHER-CLARKE.com. Or stop down and see them at 519 4th Street Northwest in downtown Canton. Or contact Hilscher Clark today at 330-452-9806. That's 330-452-9806. Remember, it's your home, it's our family. Trust only the best. Hilscher Clark Electric Company. The Fraternal Order of Eagles number 190 in Massillon wants you. Stop down to the Massillon ARE at 303 Wyrick Boulevard Northwest. And like our over 1,800 members experience daily, your Eagles membership will give you access to great food and drink specials. Having a party? Host it in our banquet facility and seat up to 400 people. When you're coming through downtown Massillon, stop by the Eagles and sign up. And for a small fee, you'll have access and be a part of a fraternity that donates over $100,000 a year to local charities. The Fraternal Order of Eagles ARE number 190 in downtown Massillon. Stop by or call us today at 330-832-7385. Welcome back here to Toth Buick GMC. TJ Downing joined by Jim Bostic, Jeff Tyler, and Rod Strata, and we're breaking down Week 7 as we get ready for Week 8. Remember to stop by here at 3300 South Arlington Road right here off of I-77 or visit www.tothakron.com. You can call. The number is 330-644-3400. We'll be talking to Josh here in just a second, but as we break down the rest of these games, guys, from this week, some big ones. Obviously, when we know you're rolling through a high school football season, there's always going to be injuries that stack up. When we talk about Carrollton and Alliance getting it on this past week, that was a 31-28 victory for Carrollton. Alliance would lose one of their best two-way guys and maybe one of the best wrestlers that we've had a chance to put eyeballs on. I know he's going to be lost for the wrestling season. That's Aiden Mosden. First guy to win Top Gun in 20 years, being an Alliance Aviator inside of his own home gym. Really has just been a stud for Coach Tim Goodman. He's going to be lost, and obviously that goes a long way in keeping Brendan Zerbrug upright. They're going to have to go out there to West Branch, take on a team that has outscored their last three opponents 175-0. And I guess the real key becomes, can you keep pace with that, Brendan Zerbrug? And you're going to be relying a lot on your guys like Rayvon Hawkins and Ramir Hawkins. You need Kayvon Davis to really step up. That entire receiving core of Caleb Ward and Carter Fast, those guys have got to get it done to be able to match the pace that you guys are going to see calling that game. Remember, starkmedia.tkdssports.com. Jeff and Rod will both be out there in Beloit as West Branch. The Warriors welcome in the Alliance Aviators, guys, for Alliance, to drop that one. They've dropped a couple. I believe they also dropped the one to Streetsboro. They lost another one after we had a chance to see them in week one take down Lake. Really thought that things would be flying high. Obviously, everybody wants to make something about a quarterback who's going to Oklahoma. We know it's an 11-man deal in all three phases of the game. Alliance just not able to get it done against Carrollton.
Well, my understanding is, Carrollton really tried to control the clock and keep the ball out of the hands of Zerbrug, which they did. However, Zerbrug didn't need
very wise.
I mean, it ended up working. I mean, Zerbrug still put up over 200 yards passing despite that. But, not being there, it's hard to totally comment on exactly what went down. But, there's something, like you said, something's going on there in Alliance. They've had three losses now, which I did not expect.
Rod, would you say that's, I don't know, I had an upset. Would you call this an upset, Carrollton over Alliance?
I would. Alliance came out strong this year, right? Yeah. And when I first joined you guys, and
a lot of potential on that roster.
Yeah, in the games, and some of the early wins and the potential they have and the talent they have. It's just kind of surprising that they're in this I would call it a slump or whatever it may be, but I thought they would continue to build upon a winning record.
They are going to have to find a way to create some pressure that they did not create last week. Guys like Adam Zumbar throughout that linebacking crew, find a way to force some turnovers. Jackson Eddy, those guys, they're going to have to bring a whole different level to their ball game this week coming up. When we look at fast forwarding here to our next ball game, I really think that Central maybe felt like, even though they have started to put together a good record on the year, and we know that they always play up in competition. That's a salute to Jeff Lindesmith, their coach, who always just says, hey, we're ready to line up and hold court, play anybody, anytime. But you're taking on a really, really good Mogador football team. Came rolling in there with only one loss on the season, and that, as we talked last week, has kind of been the kryptonite for Central Catholic, more or less in the playoffs with some of those meetings, but Central able to get it done, man. That was an impressive win for them.
Look, they're digging in and fighting. You look at what they lost last year. They lost a lot of talent. Talkington goes out Stark County Player of the Year last year. Leaves. I didn't expect for Central to be this good. And gosh, we talk about him every week. But Dan Boron posted another 2 touchdowns, had an interception, leading the county in touchdowns at 13. So. They obviously are just digging in and fighting and being like Bulldogs.
I'll tell you, early on, they had, Dan was talking about, right, Mogador has beat Central the last 2 times, and Dan says, third time's the charm.
Right?
And, comes out. But I'll tell you what, guys, from what I understood, a little bit, I had to hold your breath there for a little bit. I mean, both quarterback, Brennan Betts and Dan went down for a little bit. They had to come off. I'm sure the crowd was like, oh, my.
Yeah,
but thank goodness at the end, both did come back onto the field to finish up the game. So I hope those young men are okay.
Again, I wasn't there, but, last week when we started looking at the pick'ems on this one, not taking anything away from our 13th Street partner. Perry's on 13th. Central's on 13th.
The battle
there. But I thought Mogador would have a solid win, just based off their record, based off their stats, not taking any away from Central. It just seemed like on paper, which you can never really judge a game on, right? But on paper, I thought Mogador would win that game.
And maybe I know a little bit where you're going with this here, Rod, for me, and I know it's just week one, but the way I saw Perry go in there and handle Central at Central Stadium, that whole rivalry, the battle for 13th Street,
Right.
And Ryder Hartshorn was just running all over him. But Central is one of those teams, man. They grow up as the season goes along. They figure some things out. They take their lumps. Brennan Betts, first-year quarterback, just figuring it out. You're replacing. Now, if we're sitting here saying Dior Gardner is maybe one of the best linemen around in the big schools, in the bigger divisions, well, Jonathan Stangl at 6'8", 320 pounds, he's one of the best down there at the smaller divisions. And he brought nobody back next to him. He's playing tackle with 4 new starters on that line. So there's a shout out right there to Bo Lindesmith, who coaches that offensive line. And you're right, man. I'll tell you what, you talk about holding your breath. If Betts and also Boron go down, that's a big part of the scoring production that you're going to have there. So, Central always seems to be right in the thick of things. And because of playing up and riding the wave and the roller coaster of the season, they may go into the playoffs sitting there at 6-4, 7-3, whatever it might be, and they're gonna catch the people off guard.
Another thing they have in their favor, they have green jerseys, so I think that helps them a lot.
That was a double green, right? You were loving that. But I'll tell you what, guys, right? I mean, how about for the 12th man, both 12th man on either side of the field? Both those schools, great traditions, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, both of them just bring so much to the table, and just an exciting, 2013, an exciting game.
Yeah, they are going to have a celebration here a week after this week. Week 9, they will welcome back the 1988 state championship team, 3 state championships for the Central Catholic Crusaders. So that should be fun to be able to see that and be able to celebrate in that. Again, I will salute one guy, one of our fallen offensive linemen here who will not be in attendance, Dave Mono, who passed away from brain cancer recently. Was a legendary player down there at Ohio State, offensive guard, a guy that I really kind of looked up to alongside a guy like Rod Strata. So laid the groundwork and we're able to win state championships there in this area. Rod. Yeah, we sure did, Jim. You look up to a lot of people. Hey, we apologize, Margaret. He did leave his pillow at home today.
I did.
We didn't have enough time before we got started. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you about a guy who gets started and doesn't stop for 4 quarters. And you've seen him play. You're going to get a chance to see him again this week, Connor Satterfield.
Yeah.
When you talk about replacing offensive linemen for the Northwest Indians who would take down Orville, I'll let you talk about that score and some of the stats, but not one guy that I'm about to tell you started a football game for the varsity last year for Northwest on the offensive line. Bradley Garber, Morgan Kunkel, Joey Prexta, Cody Tackett, Luke Spotlian. None of these guys had any experience coming into the season, and look at the production they're turning out on the ground.
They're putting out some production.
Well, not only that, you've got Maragula, who
he leaves.
He leaves. So Chase Badger's back there.
And Badger really has been fighting for his job, too, because of Pappas.
No, absolutely. I'm going to tell you what, guys, right? You need a calculator for that score. Yeah. I mean, 70 points, on the other side, 45 with Orville. We talked about it last week.
Who do these guys think they are, the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, I don't know, but I'll tell you what, Coach DeMarco has them believing.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, we've talked about it continually. When you go back and forth between, you got that 2-back with Satterfield, the power back, you got Kraft. I mean, Satterfield finishes with 5 touchdowns. Kraft finishes with 4 touchdowns. You got Pappas, who can either do it with his feet and his arm. His confidence is growing week after week. At halftime, guys, that score was 35-24. So, I mean, that game's still in reach.
Right.
And then, Coach DeMarco, I guess, when he went into the locker room, flipped the switch, and, that was it. And also kind of cool, a little trickery there with Coach DeMarco. Kraft actually threw a touchdown pass to Chase Badger. So, I'll tell you what.
That's the type of stuff you were looking for, Rod, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Pull the rabbit out the hat.
That's right. You got to do that every
Or the
now and
Badger.
Yeah,
or a Badger. But you know what? With a Badger, you might want to be a little bit careful. They're kind of mean a little bit.
No, but a great game, and I'll tell you what, as you said, Teej, Dave Bircher and I will be up at CVCA. We'll talk about that, of course, in our last segment as the Royals will take on the Indians, both 5-2, big Pac-7 game. Man, it's going to be electric.
Yeah, we'll touch on this real quick here, Jeff, because Sandy Valley, after trying to, taking their lumps against Indian Valley, the battle for the Valley, they would get a running clock put on them, but they would bounce back and take on a tough Ridgewood team. Ridgewood's been playing really, really good football over the last couple of years inside of the IVC. Another one of those battles, those matchups when you talk about the North and the South. Sandy Valley was not able to get it done, and then you got to continuously fight to get back into the deal because now you're going to take on Garraway.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, they just keep coming one after the next. And Brian Gamble's a gamer, dude. He'll step up. He'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime as well, man. But inside of the IVC, there's some serious talent.
Yeah. Well, at the beginning of the year, after seeing week 1 and knowing what Northwest lost and seeing that Sandy Valley goes 5 wide and he can sling the ball, if somebody was going to put up a 70-burger, I would have thought it had been Sandy Valley. So for them to be here, struggling a little bit to put some points on the board is surprising to me after seeing them week 1.
Yeah, I apologize. They're going to host Claymont this week, so they do get a little bit of a breather. Nothing taken away from Claymont.
You were thinking of the other Valley, boss, what you had saying, because Indian Valley, Garraway, and then they've got Ridgewood. So crazy.
So, and we're actually going to talk about that here in just a second. But Sandy Valley will take on Garraway in 2 weeks in week 9. And as we switch over to our LPL financial teaser of the week, we're going to talk about some other ball games going on inside of Northeast Ohio last week that just kind of surprised you and made you say, right? So inside of the computer rankings, which we know are out now, Walsh Jesuit, the Warriors. We'll give our salute to our guy John Lowry, the 98 state champs. The Walsh Jesuit Warriors ranked number 1 in their region. Right behind them was Paynesville Riverside, and I don't know, for some reason they picked Hoban, number 3.
Yeah, so
and they came out and rang up 50 on them in the first half. Hoban 50, Walsh Jesuit 50-0 in the first half of that ball game. That's insane. It's insane. Really, when you look at Hoban's team and their makeup, and we do get excited thinking about a potential matchup with them and Massillon, but they came out and just felt disrespect.
Oh, yeah.
And they said
somebody was salty on that one.
Coach Timmy T.
Little
let
them
know what
baby.
time it was.
Yeah, they took that and boys said, here, take this.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at it saying, I don't know that Hoban's been tested at all to this point. We're going to find out what Hoban's all about real soon because, they got St. Ed's
Is that this
coming
week?
up. No,
okay.
Glenville this week, I believe, right?
Gotcha.
Yep, they'll take on Glenville.
Take on Glenville, who's only lost to – look at these losses for Glenville. Lost to Avon, who's
Really good.
6-1.
Fourth in the state, and IMG Academy, which is the best program in the country. So.
And they had to travel down there to IMG.
They had to go down there, yep. So –
all right, well, listen, when we break down one more courtesy of our friends at LPL Financial, shout out to Mandwell Patterson and his guy, his partner, Michael T. Shantz. If you have time, go over and check out Mandwell Patterson over there off of Munson Street, 4738 Munson Street. Grow your wealth with Mandwell Patterson and LPL Financial. You can call him at 330-344-9779. All right, Indian Valley would take on Garraway. We know Garraway is one of the best teams, small school teams around. The Pirates took on Indian Valley, the Braves, and the Braves coming off of that big victory over Sandy Valley. They were not able to get it done, and I really think it just, again, shows you how strong the IVC is, Jim.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, like I say, we just talked about it a moment ago. Indian Valley, again, and again, our pick'ems, most of us, I think, took Sandy Valley in that pick'em, and you just talked about how just physical the Indian Valley team that just smacked down.
Not big up front, but just aggressive.
Just aggressive, smack down. So, of course, they go into Garraway, part of the league. They got to go there, of course, 7-0. 35-14, they kept it close. But, now these poor guys, they're going to play Ridgewood next Friday. I mean, it's like from the fire to the pan, back to the fire. But, again, senior quarterback Sam Carter, great job, with in the losing effort, 21-30, 154 yards, one touchdown. Had an interception there. Though one thing, Indian Valley moving the ball, didn't do well on the ground. I mean, overall on the ground, Garraway held him to a total of 64 yards rushing. So, you have to work on that a little bit. But again, Colton Thomas, big receiver for those guys, 8 receptions, 59 yards, and Eric Golder with a touchdown catch from Carter. But I'll tell you what, they got to step it up. It doesn't get any easier this Friday night.
Well, look, Garraway always puts a good product on the field.
Yeah.
And now Indian Valley is getting battle-tested. Look out for Indian Valley come playoff time. They're going to be a sleeper. Some of the teams they played against, they're getting some experience. I think they can use this to their good.
We had this discussion, and we continue to have this around. Do you play your schedule, right? Do you play these hard, tough teams? Does it make you better, or does it discourage your team? It has to make you better. And
Yeah.
let me tell you something. You got to have a good, tough schedule because these guys are in this thing for participation trophies.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
They're in there to
Exactly.
get it done. And the only way you can get things done is to improve every day of every week.
Yeah, and as Jim said, throw yourself in the fire. See how your guys respond. Put them
Absolutely.
in tough situations, and where they say pressure is where the diamonds are created, right? All right, we're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Josh Toth. We're here at Toth Buick GMC at 3300 South Arlington Road.
Did you see that Harley
I did.
truck out there?
It's impressive.
No, I tell you, I shouldn't get a motorcycle again. I'm old, right? I mean, 60-year-olds don't need me, right? So I shot a photo over to Margaret, said, hey, I can get the truck and the Harley all in one shot.
You going to be able to go home tonight?
Crickets. I don't know. Well, no, Rod, do you have an extra bed? I might need it.
I got a few extra bedrooms.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
I don't have an extra bed like you're sleeping next to me.
Hey, all I know
Yeah.
is I hope you have cable.
You know what? No. I cut cable, but I have internet and YouTube TV. We're okay.
You know what? I'm not bringing no more trucks up.
All right, shout out to our good friends at McNeil & Sons Tree Service. They're just down the road from us here. Make sure to contact Garrett at 606-1126. Our guy at Lindsay's Pizza, John Lindsay. Check him out online at lindsays.pizza.com. Finally, HereOhio.com. Jeff's people over there at ohio.net. Make sure to check them out. TKDS Sports and our good friends at CH Vallis & Associates. And they ensure the best in the business when it comes to reman, differentials, and transmissions. That's H&H Truck Parts at 5500 South Cloverleaf Parkway in Valley View. Check them out, hhtruckparts.com. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk with Josh Toth. We're going to break down a little bit about what's going on here at their business, what they have coming up, what they have available for the customer. Stick around, hang with us. We'll break down 2 games with him. When we come back, big-time pick'ems. I got a little bit of the curveball that I threw the balls.
Big curveball, buddy. That's the knuckleball.
You know what?
Throwing the junk balls at him.
Let's just hope it's not a boomerang.
All right, hang with us. We'll be back. The leader in quality drivetrain components, H&H Truck Parts is a name you can trust. Located in Valley View, Ohio at 5500 South Cloverleaf Parkway, H&H can handle all your heavy-duty truck needs. Come in and exchange your transmission, differential, or power steering gearbox. But that's not all. H&H is equipped to handle all your parts needs. Permco pumps, Muncie PTOs, Neapco U-joints, Spicer yokes, new Eaton clutches, and more. Let the professionals at H&H Truck Parts handle your transmission or differential installation in one of their 6 service bays. Specializing in drivetrain repairs, stop by and have your drive shaft balanced, flywheel resurfaced, or your clutch installed alongside the best transmissions and differentials on the road. You know why they're the best? Because H&H is Ohio's largest purchaser of Eaton Fuller parts. Need a blower or a pump? H&H distributes Paragon and Permco brands. Names you can trust with your livelihood on the road. Call H&H Truck Parts today for the leader in heavy-duty truck parts and service. Call locally at 216-642-4540. Toll free at 800-601-4540 or check them out online at hhtruckparts.com. At CH Vallis & Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked CH Vallis & Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose CH Vallis & Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's CH Vallis & Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction. Welcome back in on Stark Media High School Football Weekly as we are breaking down Week 7. We just chopped through that one pretty good there. A lot to talk about here with Week 8 coming up. But as we are here at 3300 South Arlington Road, right off of I-77 with our good friends at Toth Buick GMC, we're now joined by Josh Toth. Really what you guys have built here started a long time ago. Oh, yeah. You're a fourth-generation Toth who's here in the building every day. Tell us about the early years of what this looked like.
So my great-grandfather, Ed Toth Sr., was a mechanic at a Buick dealership up in Berea back in the 30s. And, the Great Depression was taking its toll on the small town of Berea. So the owner of the store decided that it was time to close up shop and sell it and move to California. So being that my great-grandfather was one of his most dedicated employees, had a great work ethic, he approached him and gave him the first opportunity to purchase the dealership. So he said that he was going to leave, go to California, and he'd be back in a year on April 1st, 1936. And he said if you have $2,000 in that year, you can buy the dealership. So he sold cars during the day. He worked on them at night. My great-grandmother ran the office while she was raising 4 or 3 little ones at the time. And after that year, they had just over $2,000. So he purchased the dealership. He actually passed away back in 1972, and that was the same year that my grandfather, Ed Toth Jr., purchased Summit Buick when it was on Market Street in Akron. And then in 1981, we moved down here, and we've been here for the last 41 years.
And you offer your customers a variety of different options when it comes to leasing, financing, whatever you guys have available in your pre-owned. I know you guys have a lot of stuff on your website at tothakron.com, TOTH Akron.com. Check out their entire inventory online. What do those different options look like here?
So actually, and everybody knows with COVID and everything going on in the last couple of years, inventory levels have been very low. They're actually bouncing back quite a bit as far as our new vehicles go. We do stock about a little over 100 pre-owned vehicles as well, so we do have plenty of options for you. They've got all kinds of different purchase programs, leasing programs, and actually the leasing programs in the last few months are starting to get a lot better as well.
Rod, for you, I know you've purchased a lot of vehicles here at Toth Buick GMC. What has your experience been like? I know obviously a lot of probably, Josh, for you guys, repeat customers that come back because they like what your family does for them. They like the loyalty, the respect that they get when they come in here. You sit in the lounge, you have your coffee, you're greeted by whatever it might be, from service to everybody here on the first level. For you, Rod, it's something that's brought you back continuously.
Well, it has, and it started in 2014 for me. I had a 2007 Denali pickup, and I went to Asia then for about 4 or 5 years, and came back and decided, okay, I'm going to maybe get a new one. So starting here since 2014, between myself and my family, we've purchased 8 vehicles here at Toth Buick GMC. Now, for me, it's as a dealership, it's always been the best experience I've had. And trust me, I've bought a lot of cars during my time. I'd like to have some of that money back. But this has been the best experience, and it is currently the best experience I've ever had working with a dealership. There's no gamesmanship. There's no anything. And in fact, I say it from my side. I feel like I'm part of this Toth organization at times because not only do I purchase vehicles here, I come and talk to Josh or whatever. In fact, Josh just sold me the newest and latest and greatest 2023 Denali that drives itself.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful truck.
Incredible.
And so, again, it's a trustworthy organization. The family's great. Russ, Steve is Josh's father. And I've met Mr. Toth, Josh's grandfather. All I'm just saying is that it's not because I buy vehicles here. It's a great place. They're just really good people.
Yeah.
Right? Very trustworthy, great service. Samantha down in the service department, Joe over in the fixing things up over in the shop. It's just all around good. It's a good place to buy a vehicle because you know what? They'll always make it right. And you don't have to worry about that.
A wise man by the name of Jim Tressel once said, you win with people, man. You win with good people in your organization. That's how you get it done because it's not just a one-man operation as we see here. Right down the line here, got one of your guys working alongside 2 other people looking to purchase a car. Saw a guy down there talking with one of your salesmen. I had the Denali, but what do you think about the AT4? So you got a lot of different options. Make sure to call them here at Toth Buick GMC at 330-644-3400. Josh, your family obviously being around this area for a long time. You guys have, the community impacts you as well as you guys impact the community. I'm sure that you guys have done outreach before around here. What have some of those moments for the Toth family to give back look like?
So we've donated a GMC Terrain to the Green Fire Department. Probably one of the biggest things, though, we sponsor the City of Green's Grade 8 race, which is like a 5K marathon race. And actually, last year they had 3,500 racers, I believe, and they raised over $150,000 for local nonprofits. And this year their goal is 5,500 racers and $200,000 in profits.
Wow, I'll tell you what, it's just a good thing to give back. You know, we always try and find ways to do it. One of the things that we're hugely involved with here is with our friends at the Leatherneck Nation MC, the Sam Center, who donates every first and third Friday over 6,000 pounds of food to veteran families in need. Organizations like Save22.vet, all that they do for, you know, what we know is 22 veterans every day in America commit suicide, and that should not be. You know, we need to be able to support those people that have made, paid, and given the ultimate sacrifice for our great nation. As we're here at Toth Buick GMC off of 3300 South Arlington Road, let's talk some new cars. What from the GMC side of things? I drive a GMC. Jeff, you drive a GMC as well. All three of us up here drive one.
My driveway looks like a GMC dealership. With my 5 kids, everybody's got a Buick or a GMC or a Chevy.
You know, Rod mentioned that that the new Denali pretty much drives itself.
No, not everyone. You just the one with Super Cruise.
Yeah, Super Cruise.
If you get a Denali Ultimate or a Denali with a reserve package, that gets you Super Cruise. And when he says drive itself, it won't take you from point A to point B. It's basically a cruise control that it'll change lanes, adapt to speed based on traffic flow. And it's really wild. It's really wild. It's funny. Every time you get somebody in it for the first time to show them, they're sitting there like this with their hands over the steering wheel, just waiting to grab it.
I did.
But it changes lanes on its own. It passes cars on its own. And in fact, one time, I tapped the turn signal to get it to change a lane on its own, and it started to, and somebody came flying up by me, and it dodged them right now.
Wow. Man.
Very intuitive.
It's incredible. The technology the rate at which it's advancing is just unbelievable.
Yeah, there's a lot of other different models to be able to choose from. I know that the Canyon seems to be a pretty popular.
Yeah, and they actually, for 2023, just remodeled the Canyon, and it is an excellent vehicle.
Right.
We've only gotten a handful of them in. I think we have one AT4 on the lot right now, but it's not going to be here long. I mean, it's quite an improvement over the previous model.
We know what high school sports in Northeast Ohio, the state of Ohio, this area, what it represents. I mean, every time the year comes around, the school year gets back around, the leaves start to fall, and the seasons change, and it's football. You know, we're excited to be around here and to be able to talk to you guys about it, to be able to do our show here. We appreciate you guys having us. What great hosts you guys have been. I know I can speak for my partners here that say, you know, most weeks we're at different places. We've been to high school football fields. We've been to restaurants. We've been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Coming up here has been really exciting for us. When we start to think about some local games going on, we're going to talk about 2 of them here. The big dog down around the area of the Massillon Tigers, they're going to be heading over to Austintown Fitch. And I know most years, Austintown Fitch, like last year, undefeated, coming in, thinking they're riding high. But, you know, as we talk about too, Rod, you know, some out-of-state teams will come in and think, oh, yeah, we're going to compete with the Massillon Tigers. And you really have no idea. But, you know, how Jeff, how do you kind of see this thing shaking out?
Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth, right?
Yeah, okay, Mike Tyson.
You know, Massillon, obviously, they just got D1 talent all over the field. Now, Fitch has several kids getting recruited D1 as well. Dan Evans III, how many times we called his name on that receiver. Allen Hill Jr. is also a tremendous receiver. And Deshaun Vaughn, that quarterback.
The quarterback's not bad.
We were very impressed with him against Glen Oak. He was able to, tuck and run if he needed to, but his vision, he was able to throw across his body in spots where you don't want your quarterback to do, but he was doing it effectively. And so I think it'll be a traditional close game early.
Yeah.
You know, but down the stretch, I don't see Fitch being able to hang.
Well, you two both got a chance to see CVCA, you know, and you mentioned outside of, I think, Kyle Schneider, the running back, that was the only guy. They returned everybody else from last year's team. They just beat Fairless 23-0. They're going to host Northwest. Jim Bostic and Dave Bircher, they're going to be calling that game over at starkmedia.tkdfsports.com. Make sure you tune in this weekend. We'll have 3 games streaming for you live. Myself, I will be over there at Jackson at Robert Fife Stadium as they welcome in the McKinley Bulldogs. These guys, they're going to be they're going to be the backyard brawl there right down Old 62, so to say, as West Branch welcomes in Alliance. And again, this one, does Northwest, after seeing CVCA, do you think Northwest has what it takes to be able to roll out on the road and still be able to continue that high output rushing game?
A week or so ago, I would have said no, but they just put 70 on Orville.
Yeah.
That's impressive. CVCA is better than last year, I believe. Yeah, they lost Snyder, who's now what? He's wrestling at Kent State, I believe, stud running back. But I think their quarterback's better.
Yeah,
they're throwing the rock. They're slinging around. He's a sophomore, and so I think this could be the game of the week. I really do.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, we saw what CVCA and Canton South, right? We called that
Correct.
game. And CVCA gave South a game first half, and then even going into the second half. But then South took over. As far as this game goes, I would say I'd probably nod to Northwest.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I mean, sorry to cut you off. I mean, they're very similar to like a Canton South, that they can sling it and obviously putting 70 up.
Going back to the Massillon game, I'll tell you this. Like I said, we did Fitch Glen Oak. And at the time, Glen Oak really wasn't much of a – there really wasn't a whole lot of resistance, right?
No.
Fitch just moved the ball up and down the field. Glen Oak still was making mental mistakes then that seem to be corrected now.
Yeah.
Right? And that's great for Coach Garcia and company. I think it's just going to be – sorry, Fitch. I think they have no clue what they're going to run into Friday night.
Yeah, maybe one of the best defenses in the state.
I would be completely, totally shocked and jarred if Massillon doesn't come out and by halftime this thing is almost like the clock starts running in the second half.
Yeah. Well, Josh, before we pull a surprise on Jim Bostic over here, he still has, and it's not the surprise he was waiting for or hoping for, which he was going to be leaving with the Harley-Davidson truck. But I know that as we talked about some of the military stuff that we do here, you guys have some different things that you do in regards to rewards program, discount programs for our veterans, and also even some different loyalty programs that you guys have for your buyers.
Yeah. So we have all kinds of different military options. Purchasing options, leasing options for active, retired. And then as far as like rewards programs, there is a rewards program and anybody can get enrolled in this whenever you purchase a new vehicle. And we can actually enroll you in a pre-owned vehicle as well. Anytime you spend money in any GM service department, whether it's mine or if you're on vacation and you end up in someone else's service department, any money you spend in there, you'll accumulate points in your GM account, and then you can use that towards oil changes. You can use that towards accessories, any kind of service work.
Trust me, it adds up pretty quick, too. Yeah. I never pay attention to it until once in a while I'll get an email. I mean, I think I've had it at one point in time, and it's not necessarily just from buying the big-ticket item on the truck. It's the service, as Josh mentioned, and other things.
Every dollar you spend.
I think I've had that thing up to $700 worth of, if you will, loyalty money, not just points, right? And it does come in handy when you want to get an oil change or things like that.
$700 is a lot of oil changes.
No doubt. Well, you guys have a beautiful facility here, Josh. Again, I thank you for having us. And
we appreciate it.
Before we get you out of here, we're going to have you. You're going to be Jim Bostic's fill-in here, so we're going to do pick'ems. I'm sure you were probably paying attention, hearing the potential smoke show that could happen here when the Massillon Tigers take the field against Austintown Fitch. But down there to the end, I'm assuming both of you guys are going to be rolling with the Tigers.
That's an affirmative.
Yeah. As long as you're feeling
no
point spread. Yeah. You're not throwing a point spread at us this
He's
week,
feeling
right?
the same. Okay, we're all
matters.
We're all rolling with the Tigers here on this one, but this one here is where I think we may have a little bit of shift. Northwest at CVCA. Rod, how do you see it? Where are you heading?
I think it's going to be a good game. CVCA is at home. They have a good ball club, but I'm going to go with the momentum and the rushing train of Northwest.
All right, Jeff Tyler, what do you got?
I'm going CVCA.
All right.
I think they're gonna hold home court.
All right, Josh. This is I don't. Let me just tell you what's on the line here. Just and if you're part of the victory, you will be included in the pizza and wings from Lindsay's Pizza. So we'll have them deliver it right up here at 3300 South Arlington Road. But as we kind of had this thing going on all year, Jim and Jeff taking on Rod, myself, and our pick'ems. Where are you heading with Northwest and CVCA?
I think I'm gonna have to say Northwest.
Okay, all right. I'm feeling Northwest as well. I think what they've been able to put out, rushing output, I think they're going to catch CVCA off guard. Maybe CVCA just beating Fairless 23-0 with Fairless being a little bit down. They're maybe not going to be ready for what you said there, Jeff. Everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the mouth, and it seems like Northwest up front with that rushing game. Connor Satterfield seems like the type of dude, he'll just walk in anywhere and hit somebody in the mouth. Like, if he walked in the door here right now, I mean, you better sell him a car quick because he might punch one of us in the face.
Yeah, in the case of Maslin, is you don't get hit in the mouth. When somebody just picks you up and slams you on the ground, then you're done, right? So.
All right. Well, Josh Toth, appreciate you joining us here on this third segment as we get ready to do the rest of our pick'ems as we're live here at GMC, the Toth Buick GMC. We're going to welcome back in Jim Bostic, and we're going to break down some of the rest of these games. I believe we are holding you guys are a +6 margin right now on the pick'em. So we got some surprises. We're gonna pull some tricks out of our sleeve here, Rod. Well, between a Buckeye and a Spartan, we got to have a couple tricks up the sleeve somewhere.
We definitely.
We're lying. Hey, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, right?
If you're not holding,
All right, good shout out to our friends here at Toth Buick GMC. The number to call 330-644-3400 or check them out online at tothakron.com. We'll be back with more after this. You came to Stark Media for the best? Well, now you got it. Check out Lindsay's Pizza on 2827 Whipple Avenue Northwest inside of the Hillsdale Shopping Center. The preferred post-game pizza of the Stark Media team is open until 11 p.m., and it has all the essentials for game day. Pizza, chicken, salads, and sandwiches are just a click away at lindsayspizza.com. But you should trust the former Ohio State All-American and just call them right now at 330-477-3800. 477-3800. This is TJ Downing for Lindsay's Pizza, and I approve this message.
McNeil & Sons Tree Service serves the greater Northeast Ohio area by keeping your property clear all year round. Do you have trees that have stretched too close to your home? A rotted tree that has to go? Or perhaps even storm damage? No job is too big or small for McNeil & Sons. We specialize in large tree removal, storm damage, stump grinding, land clearing, and more. McNeil & Sons Tree Service is fully licensed and insured, so contact us today at 330-606-1126 for all your tree care needs, or visit us online at mcneiltree.com to schedule your free quote. The professionals at McNeil & Sons can inform you of your tree health and give you a risk assessment to keep your family protected. So call today, 330-606-1126. McNeil & Sons Tree Service, a company you can depend on with family you can trust.
Cackley Insurance is a locally owned home, auto, and life insurance specialist. Located in Cuyahoga Falls at 619 Portage Trail, Cackley Insurance puts their clients first, and as an independent agent, they are proud to serve their community. As a proud supporter of high school athletics in the community, give Cackley Insurance a call today at 330-929-6006 or visit them online at cackleyinsurance.com. That's K-A-C-K-L-E-Y insurance.com. And thank you for your support of Stark Media and high school athletics around the area. Welcome back in on Stark Media High School Football Weekly. We're here at Toth Buick GMC off of 3300 South Arlington Road, and Jim, Jeff, Rod, myself, we're going to get ready to break down a quick little analysis of what's coming up here week 8, where we're going to be at on our website, starkmedia.tkdssports.com, streaming live here in Northeast Ohio and the greater Stark and Summit County area.
Hey, guys, don't tell Margaret during that last segment, I was out test driving that Harley truck. But don't tell Margaret.
Let me ask you a question. How did you get in it?
They had a little ladder. They brought it out for me. It was just a 3-stepper.
Okay.
Guys, amazing. That's all I'm going to say.
They had a car seat in there.
They brought the tow motor
out
of the shop.
No, wait.
They had the
tow
mini
motor. Now, listen.
The mini escalator.
When I was 260, they may have had to use a tow motor. Not today, brother. I climbed that ladder like nothing.
They got that power board that comes out.
Oh, man.
Yes, the power. It elevates.
On the version for him, though, they got to put that grab bar.
The wheels have certainly fell off here. Not down in the shop and out in the parking lot.
Right.
The wheels are on right here.
here.
The wheels have fallen off. High school football and high school sports here at Stark Media, presented by the Eagles FOE 190 and Hilscher Clark Electric Company. Again, we want to give a special shout out to our good friends here at Toth Buick GMC. Contact them at 330-644-3400 or check out their inventory online at tothakron.com. Also, a special shout out to McNeil & Sons Tree Service, Lindsay's Pizza, LPL Financial, C.H. Vallis & Associates, Apex Surgical, and Cackley Insurance. All right, guys, we know that Green's going to head over to Perry. Green, they've been down their quarterback. They've worked through some different guys. They finally got to a situation where I think Coach Mark Geis is happy with what he has out there in that empty backfield set. And Perry, with their backs against the wall, struggling this year, really breaking that game down, Jim. Green should, as we're sitting here, close to Green High School, should have the firepower to be able to go over there and get the victory.
No, straight up, Cheech. I think you're right. I mean, they've got so many weapons over there. And again, though, remember, we are playing with a backup quarterback, right?
Right.
But as always, that young man, the sophomore, right, Tyson Hunka, last week, second start for the Bulldogs, ran for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, Green cannot fall asleep at the line, right, because, 2 back-to-back 200-yard games, Mr. Ivanovic is going to be coming at you. Mm-hmm. So you better be ready. This is something I think that Coach Geis, they can't take for granted. I think you said, said as such, because Perry is moving. I know the scores are not indicative, but this is a game you can't let your guard down or they're going to bite you in the butt.
Jeff, when you think about Hoover going over to Lake, Hoover with coming off flying high after that overtime victory, Lake having to reel themselves back in, and quite frankly, I don't know what that game would have looked like. They played 4 quarters in the game of football, but if that went any extra time over there at Tom Benson Stadium, Lake was starting to work themselves back into it. Just not enough time on the clock. Played a great second half. If you can take anything away, a moral victory, so to say, a great second half against McKinley, who is at the top of the Federal League, do they roll that in, playing at home against Hoover, and carry that to a victory?
Yeah, I mean, I did pick Lake to win that last week, and if they wouldn't have had struggled first half, they obviously would have been right there. And, it's, even in the loss, I think they can take a lot away from losing by 7 to a really good McKinley team, for sure. But we're doing pick 'em, right? So I got.
Are we picking?
Are we
No,
picking that one?
we're
Or
not
no?
picking yet.
No, we're getting close.
All
right.
Rod, when you think about
tight, brother.
when you
I'm excited.
I know.
Wait a minute. It's a Harley truck.
Let me drift back a second. Did I not hear after my test drive? Did I end up having 2 picks that I didn't know about?
No, you didn't hear that.
Okay.
You're good.
All right, just making sure. I thought I
I
heard
know
something.
you fell down getting out of it.
he's sending the skill guys audibles left and right. It's okay.
Oh, yeah, and it's only going to get worse. Rod, when you think about things getting worse throughout a season, struggling, there's no success there. You're losing. Minerva has had to deal with that.
Oh.
They're going to be at Marlington. Marlington should be able to get the victory, but both teams really struggling. Coach Cardinal, he's taken over this Marlington program after Phil Morrow stepped aside, just trying to get things going in the right direction. I know Coach Speakman down there at Minerva trying to figure out the same deal, after Minerva went on this stretch that might be the worst stretch in Stark County history when they would lose 40 straight games. How do you see Minerva heading over to Marlington and what we will call just the battle from the bottom, I guess?
Yeah, it's a good point, TJ. I feel really bad for Minerva. I know they're probably working their tails off. Coaches are doing a great job. Kids are staying motivated, and that's probably a tough part of this as well. And then again, on Marlington's side, they've been a little, they've had some bright moments this year, right? They've had some bright moments and some good games, and they've had some not so bright moments. So, and Marlington's playing at home. I'm going to go with, I think the Dukes are going to probably pull this one out.
And I think really the tough thing too, Rod, is that when you've had success in your program, which Minerva did back in the 90s. I mean, think about back in the 70s. Shout out to my father-in-law. They're getting, you're getting a quarterback. Bo Schembeckler is getting a quarterback from Minerva, Ohio. And guys like Leon Powell, who's one of the greatest running backs to ever come out of the area. And, so I know that kind of hurts too, when you've had success and you've had some tradition inside of your program to be where you're at now. And I know Coach Speakman, he's a Minerva guy, so I know he's going to want to try and right this ship, and going over there to Marlington would vastly help that out.
Sure would.
Alliance heading over to West Branch, guys. not going to be easy for Alliance, especially down Aiden Maasden. But when you've got a quarterback like Brendan Zerbrug, he is one of those guys when we talk about this being an 11-man deal, offensively, defensively, special units. There's sometimes guys out there on the field that can put them on your shoulders and just let them go. Brendan Zerbrug's that type of guy, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I think he is for sure, and it speaks to where he's headed to play football. But it's football, next man up, right? You got to figure out who's going to be the next guy to step in there. But you're going against a West Branch team that their only loss is to a really good Canfield team coming off a state title last year. So I think it's going to be tough for them to go into West Branch's house and take that one.
And West Branch is averaging 43 points a game.
Yeah.
And look, they've the last 3 weeks they've outscored their opponents 175-0.
How about that?
Jim, Bo Alazos is a really good quarterback for West Branch. And think about who he just took over for, Drew DeShields.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, guys. One of our local athletic directors, we were talking last night, and he said to me, he goes, you don't hear a lot about this young man from West Branch, but he's the real deal. I mean, Bo right now, 148 attempts, 218 attempts, 148 completions, 1,789 yards already for this young man with 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So we talk a lot about Zerberg, but I'm going to tell you what, this young man out of West Branch is the real deal.
Yep, I believe he still has Joey Jackson as one of his weapons. There's some stuff to work there. I can't remember. Mullinax, I believe he graduated after last year, but that team from last year who would make that playoff run where they would take down, I was there to see it and call it, they would beat Buchtel, and what a great game that was in the cold weather environment. And Drew DeShields, he's one of those guys who would carry his team on his back. And honestly, there was people last year that were saying Bo Alazos might be better than this guy. And Jeff, we know when we went to do our Stark Media fantasy draft, Drew DeShields was going to be a lottery pick. He was, because he's that special of a player. What's that really saying about this kid when even last year they were saying maybe he was even better then?
Well, you even said that when we were on air talking about that. And I hadn't put eyes on the kid yet to see him, and you're like,
he's big.
This kid is
stout.
You don't want, obviously, next man up. If something was to happen to Drew, he was able to just slide in there and pick it up. Like you said, he's from what we hear, the real deal. We're going to put eyes on him and see.
He's not a slider. He's not a slider. he will run you over.
But how about the defense, guys? The last 3 games for West Branch, goose eggs on the board.
And as Rod will tell you, best part about him, he's wearing green and white.
Right.
They're green. That's right.
Must work. All right, man, it's pick'em time. As we get ready to do pick'em time here, Green at Perry. I know we just kind of talked about that one. How you guys see it?
Me, I should. Well, I'm not. I'm not, and I should, but I'm not.
Are you going to give a speech?
No, I'm going with the Green Bulldogs.
No, I meant at the game. Are they going to call you back for a?
No, they won't. Trust me. They don't even know who I am.
Rod, stop.
Truth.
Here's a surprise for you, Rod. I think Perry's going to get it done. I think Perry is starting to make strides, move forward a little bit, starting to figure a few things out on offense. I think Perry's going to get the win.
I'm glad you listened last week, because I'll tell you what, I'm going to go with the Bulldogs.
Okay.
But I will tell you this, again, we talked about it earlier. Green cannot fall asleep. Perry seems to be catching a little stride, and Hartshorn, Ivanovic, Maddox, look out.
Yeah, I'm taking nothing away from the Panthers. I'm just saying that Green, based on so far this season, I think they have the edge.
A lot of weapons.
And I'm going with the Bulldogs as well. I think it's going to be tough for the Perry Panthers to cover down. Maybe struggling a little bit to get that pass rush on Hunka, even though he's, they mentioned just his third start.
It'll be number 3, yes, sir.
So, still kind of just getting his legs underneath him, but I like the Green Bulldogs in this one. Okay, Minerva at Marlington.
Well, I'll go first on this one. You guys just talked a little preview Rod did on that game. My heart goes out to Minerva just like you, Rod. I mean, hats off to those young men, but I'm going to have to go with the Dukes here at home.
Dukes for me as well.
Yeah, the team in orange should be the Dukes.
I'm the same. I got Dukes.
All right, so let's make this thing a little bit harder here. Alliance at West Branch. I'm going to start this one off here for you guys. I think there's going to be a little bit of magic in the air. I think Alliance is able to go over there and get the W.
You know what? Things I've seen and heard and read, Alliance is beat up a little bit. Losing Maasden was big. I think the injuries are going to play here. West Branch is just on fire. You don't, whoever they play, those 3, you just shut them out. I got to go with the Wildcats.
I got West Branch as well.
Yeah, ditto on West Branch. Again, averaging 43.1 points per game, as we talked about, TJ. If they can do that Friday night, and then, of course, Jeff and I will be there in person calling this game, it's going to be hard to beat.
All right, so Rod's going with West Branch. And when we look at Hoover at Lake.
I'll go first this time. I think Lake bounces back. They played tough last week against McKinley, lost a tough one. But I think they bounce back at home and get the W.
What do you got, JB?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll stay with the skill guys here. This is going to be my upset game of the week. They're going into Lake. I love Lake. You know, had we not lived in Jackson, that Lake would have been our second choice. Margaret and I'm gonna have to go with the Vikings. I think they're gonna do it. They've got too many weapons out there. Lake's really beat up. Again, poor coach DeJours. They got to get those guys healthy. Going Vikings.
You guys would have produced an entire football team.
Yeah, right.
Starting five. How about starting five plus the skill guys?
Well, it wasn't basketball. We were too short for basketball.
It'd be like Bugs Bunny. Center, Bostic. Right guard, Bostic. Left guard, Bostic.
Or like George Foreman.
Second base, Bugs Bunny.
That's right.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Real quick question. Lake's defense. Is anybody hurt on that defense? No, I'm teasing. I'm going with Lake. Let me tell you why. When I saw
get his own info.
When I have my own info. I was just giving Jimmy a little hard time. When I saw Lake at Jackson and the way they came out and just stunned them, jarred them, whatever you want to call it, I have to go with Lake. And if they do that again, if they can, I know, trust me, right? Hoover's a good ball club. But if Lake comes out with that defense and they can keep that momentum, I'm going to go with the defense. I'm going with Lake.
I like the Hoover Vikings in this one, guys. Rolling over there, Carson Derlin. Strong performance with him and Mason Ashby. They're going to get it done. All right, Jim, you're not allowed to pick this one. You already actually did pick this one.
I picked this one?
Northwest at CVCA. What do you got, Rod?
I'll go with the Indians at Northwest.
CVCA is a tough, hostile environment. And who's calling it? You're calling that game, right?
Yeah, Dave and I will be out there, yeah.
Go hungry from the Fairless game last year. A little bit of home cooking over there. So, you know.
Ooh. Who are you going? You going home?
No, I'm saying.
He's going to go get a meal.
I'm saying there's.
I'm
saying it's a tough place to play, and there's some home cooking happening.
I thought you were picking the home team. Who'd you pick?
I got CVCA.
Who did I pick?
Well, I believe you picked CVCA as well, partners. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Northwest. I'm going to ride that hand. So we'll see if my cheating ways worked out there with Josh Toth. Again, remember Toth Buick GMC. Thank you for the pick, Josh. Taking CVCA. Right. We'll be pulling for the hometown Indians out of Stark County.
I just happened to come in from driving. If you rewind that tape, I think you're going to see that Josh happened to go the other way.
Did he really?
I think he did go
the other
way.
Oh, he did? Okay. I'm sorry.
So can I go back to mine?
No.
But
okay.
But the Indians are on the road. It's at CVCA.
Yeah. So I just want to play fair.
Well,
unlike the offensive line team.
This is like replay. As soon as we get to the next one, you can't go back and challenge it. So Keystone at Firelands.
Like
Hurry up, Rod. Make a pick. That way you can't go back and challenge it.
Here we go.
It's like the Browns. We don't challenge it.
Where's that yellow marker?
It's just getting worse. It's getting pretty bad.
It is.
Keystone's 2-5. Firelands is 3-4 at Firelands. I guess I'll go with the Firelands.
I dug in a little bit on this one, and it looked like Firelands had, better losses. And if that's possible, I got Firelands.
Using my inside source, I too am going to go with the Firelands, and I'm not telling you who my inside source was. So Firelands.
See, TJ, I pick one. They all go with it.
Oh yeah, I wrote this.
Do they wear green?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
I'll go with I got a chance to see them for the first time last year as they took on they were playing some basketball, took on Northwest. All right. Avon Lake at Olmsted Falls. What do you got, JB?
I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be a great game. It's at Olmsted Falls, 5-2 Falls, 6-1 Avon Lake. But, haven't seen them, but we've read a lot about. We've talked a lot about Avon Lake. I'm going to take the visitors coming into Olmsted Falls, Avon Lake for me.
Well, I think it's Avon Lake. It's not Avon. So I'm going Olmsted Falls.
No, so I picked the wrong one.
I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with the home team as well. I'm going with Olmsted Falls.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Something about the Shoremen. They always make me feel good. But Not today. Olmsted falls for Vegas.
Wow.
That was quick.
Wow.
Roosevelt at Aurora.
I got
JT.
Aurora.
Yeah, Aurora. They're 6-1.
Aurora across the board.
Aurora
I like
across
it.
the board, baby.
Okay, here we go. Lutheran East at Cleveland Central.
I'll go. You really gave us some homework this week, Captain. I'll tell you what.
They're both 2-5.
2-5. This is going to be a barn burner. But I'll tell you what. I'm going to go with the home team on this one, Cleveland Central.
I just want to be clear. I know you've been cheating all day. So is this the JV or is this the varsity game we're calling?
I'll tell you about 9:30 on Friday night.
I don't think Stark Media is going to be called to do any of their games anytime soon.
No, I'm
Jeff.
saying he wants us to. Are we picking the varsity or the JV? I'm not saying they're a JV team. I'm saying they have a JV team.
Well, thanks,
Who do you like?
Who are you
What's that?
picking?
I like the home team, Cleveland Central County.
Okay, well then listen. If Cleveland Central wins and I take Lutheran East, then I'm going to go ahead and say it's a JV game on Saturday morning.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go with the home team as well, Cleveland Central.
All right. Well, I like Lutheran East in this. I'll tell you what. We've seen them on the basketball court.
Break out.
Jeff Tyler. We'll go ahead and we'll break out here. Brunswick at Menor.
1-6 versus 4-3. I tell you what, as big a school as Brunswick is, it amazes me. They're sitting at 1-6. Menor at 4-3. I'm gonna go home team, little home cooking for Mentor.
I mean, Mitch Trubisky. You got to go Menor at this point, right? I know he's not playing, but I got Menor.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Menor. We called the Menor Glen Oak game, and Menor's got a decent ball club, so I'm going to go with Menor as well at home.
Menor across the board, boys. Here we go. Last one. Berkshire at Crestwood.
You actually missed one. But
Yeah, I was gonna say he had one there, but
Wait. Oh, yeah. Well, no, we got one more. Okay, we'll stay here. Berkshire at Crestwood.
okay.
Listen, I'm a lineman. I
Where
miss
you going,
stuff
Rod?
sometimes.
Where you going, big dog?
Oh, 3-4 versus 4-3. So the home team is 4-3. I'm going to go with Crestwood. I don't know what their mascot is, but I'm going with Crestwood.
I got Berkshire.
Oh, well, we're going to flip it here, buddy. I'm going Crestwood myself, so we're deploying their strategy from 2 weeks ago.
I like the Berkshire.
You mean the one that General Patton invented and he wanted to take?
That was the one.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
I'll go ahead and take the home team as well, Crestwood. Okay, last one here, guys. Padua at Broadview Heights. How do we see it shaking?
Broadview Heights.
Yeah, I mean, so Broadview Heights is 4-3. Padua's 3-4. Oh, by the way, 4-year starter at Michigan State when I was there, named Ray Stakowitz, made all Big Ten, all 4 years, first team, and All-American.
Parma Padua.
No, Broadview Heights.
Broadview Heights.
Right. So I'm going with Ray Stakowitz's alma mater. Broadview Heights.
I thought Rob was going to go with Padua there. Okay, straight across the board. We know that Lake has played Brecksville. They played him pretty strong there. We knew what Lake was like, but I'm going home team there, Brecksville.
I like Padua.
Did we do the McKinley game?
Wasn't on our list this week.
No.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't on the list.
That's
but
fine.
You know what? Hey, listen, man. That's what we do.
You
we
throwing
add
it
things
on?
here we go. Final wrap-up moment here.
Okay.
McKinley and Jackson.
Well, you brought it up, Rod. You get to go first.
Jeez, were you in high school or what?
Yeah, absolutely. I taught it for years.
I can tell. How was that chair you had to stand on? So anyway, let's go with
They shorten the lectern.
I do know he enjoyed paddling people.
What can I
Sorry,
say?
Margaret.
Anyway, sorry guys. I like Jim and I have fun together.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this one here, Jackson, again, they came out strong this year. I just don't think they're a match for the Bulldogs. So I'm going with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'll follow behind Rod on that one. You know, I've seen both teams, obviously live in Jackson. We're Polar Bears. But McKinley's just too strong, and there's too many weapons there, and I think the Bulldogs are going to have the night with the Bears.
Bulldogs across the board. You'll be able to catch it at starkmedia.tk.
Did you pick?
I didn't make it official.
Oh, you did?
No,
I thought it was
no.
Okay. Well, what do you got?
I'm gonna take McKinley.
Good call, Jeff.
Hey, I just wanted to get it on record. No, we know what happens in this league. And everybody starts beating everybody down the stretch. So I thought about it for a minute, but
I believe it's been 17 years for Jackson.
Can't build the case for Jackson in this one.
Yeah.
It's hard to, man. Okay, McKinley across the board. It is official now. All right, our picks are in. Episode 6 is complete. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Also, our great new partners here at Toth Buick GMC. Make sure to patronize them. Contact them at 3400, or check them out online at tothakron.com. And again, our great sponsors as well, Hilscher Clark Electric Company and the Eagles FOE 190. Catch us this week with our good friends and partners at TKDS Sports, always at starkmedia.tkdssports.com. My guys out here, they will be out, Jim and Dave Bircher at CVCA welcoming in the Northwest Indians. Guys to the left of me here will be out at West Branch as the Warriors welcome in the Alliance Aviators, and I will have that call for you alongside Bob Cummings Jr. as the McKinley Bulldogs travel over to Jackson, and we will see what happens as it all shakes out here in Week 8. All right, guys. It was fun. I know it'll be even better come Friday night as we get out there and see Week 8 of high school football. Appreciate you guys as always. For Jim Bostic,
when
Jeff
I drive
Tyler,
home
Rod
with
Strata.
that truck today, Rod, I'll be over later tonight.
There you go.
Get that spare bedroom ready.
For Margaret and her divorce attorney, I'm TJ Downing saying so long here from Toth Buick GMC. Been a great one. So long.